Hey folks, Chris here from LazyFA.com. One of the things that I run into a lot with users of LazyFA is that when they first start out, they don't really know where to turn. This is a big application, there's a lot of features, and people don't really know where to start with it. So this video is going to help you just understand the homepage and understand how to navigate around the site, learn what some of the major features are, and just get used to how everything is laid out. So when you first land on LazyFA.com, after you create an account, whether it's a free account or you have a premium or pro account, it doesn't matter, you will always land on this homepage here. Across the top of the homepage, you have the four major market indexes. You have the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, the Russell, and the Dow Jones. And those four indexes are the indexes that I pay attention to personally to give myself sort of a broad overview of the entire market. So you have the SPY, which is the US market, you have NASDAQ, which is tech, you have the Russell, which is small cap stocks, and then you have the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which is like your big global conglomerates like McDonald's and so on and so forth. Beneath the four major market indexes, you have top gainers, top losers, and highest volume. And these will update every single day, all day long. The top gainers show you the stocks that are up the most that day. The top losers show you the stocks that are down the most that day. And highest volume orders them in order of the amount of volume that they have traded. Beneath that on the homepage, there is a sector performance box where you can track the performance of the individual sectors like technology and basic materials and so on. And the recent insider activity box tracks insider activity across all stocks across the entire market, and it will just show you the top 10 most recent insider transactions. So these are Form 4s, and if you hover over the acquisition or disposition code, it will show you what that means. And same thing for the transaction code here. If you hover over these, it'll give you a little bit more information about what those are. And then finally at the bottom here, you have recent news. So this is just global market news. Some of it is not related to the market. It comes from newsapi.org, which is not the greatest news service, but it is something that I will be working on in the future. But in the meantime, at least it gives us something so we can track sort of what's going on with recent market news. So that's the homepage. That is where everyone will land regardless of what type of account you have. When you first go to LazyFA.com and create an account and you log in, you're going to land on this homepage. In the upper left, there's a menu button. That is where everything else happens. Now the menu is broken into three major sections. There's a learning section, the research section, and then your account options like plans and pricing and your profile and so on. The two major parts that everybody will have access to regardless of your account are the knowledge base and the market events. So I'll go ahead and open both of those right now. Now the knowledge base serves both as a blog, which is what most of the posts in here are right now, but it will also eventually serve as a repository for all of this type of documentation and all of the other documentation that is written up on the site. So that's what the blog gives you, or the knowledge base gives you. And the market events page tells you significant events based on Form 8Ks that have been filed that day. This updates every weekday at 9 p.m. And if you hover over the codes at the top, you can jump to the individual codes. So these are things like bankruptcies, material agreements, new financial obligations, acceleration of existing financial obligations, and so on. And if you hover over each one of these items, each link will take you to that ticker so that you can research that ticker. And then if you click on view, it will take you to the actual SEC filing where you can access the filing itself and see exactly what it was. So that's the material events page, the significant events page. Again, this updates every day at 9 p.m. So this is something that I like to track each day just to see what's going on. In particular, the earnings reports. If there's any material agreements, those can sometimes yield some interesting trading opportunities. So I do focus on this quite a lot, and this is accessible to everyone regardless of whether or not you have a paid account. So that's the Learn LazyFA section. Now the research section, this is where you're going to spend a lot of your time. And if you don't have a paid account, some of this stuff won't be accessible to you. However, one thing that a lot of people don't know, even when you have a free account, is that this list of tickers across the top of the menu is always free and always has access to the entire site. And the way this works is every one of these tickers will change each night at midnight. So each day you come back, there will be 15 new tickers which have access to the entire site, and you can use all of the features on those individual tickers if you want to try out the rest of the features that you don't have access to because you're not paying for an account. Now, if you look at the plans and pricing page, there's a better explanation of exactly what you get for each account type. And the main thing that you should pay attention to if you have a free account is this free box here. So anything that has a hyphen next to it, the green hyphen, these are the features that the free tickers always have access to. So if you're using a free ticker, you can access any one of these items. And then the ones that have X's obviously are not accessible unless you have either a premium or a pro account. But there is a good majority of the stuff on the site that is completely free if you're using one of the free tickers. So even if you have a free account, there's a lot that you can do to play around with LazyFA and learn it before you decide whether or not you want to upgrade. So heading back to the menu here, one of the things that I've run into is a lot of people open the menu and they try to just click on things in the research section, and that doesn't work because you need to put in a ticker first. So open the menu and I'll throw in a ticker, and that will take you immediately to the dashboard. And once you're on the dashboard, then everything else in the menu will open up so that you can analyze this specific ticker with all of those things. Now, I'm not going to go through every single item here in this video. I will make a video for each one of these menu items and each different application in the future, but that would take a really long time to do it all in one video. So I want to split it up into individual videos. In this one, I'm going to focus specifically on the dashboard. Now, the dashboard is pretty straightforward. Across the top, you have all the key stats for the company. So how many shares outstanding they have, their average volume, any kind of information about dividends, their growth over the last 30 days, 6 months, and 5 years. And if you hover over any of these items, it'll explain what they are. Then you have the last trade information, which this is provided by a few different sources. It's provided by IEX, and it's also provided by AlphaVantage in after hours. So if you're looking at this in after hours, sometimes it's better to look at the price on the chart because the embedded chart from TradingView tends to be a little bit more up to date than the quote here in the last trade box. So just keep that in mind if you're looking at this after hours. Sometimes it's better to look at the TradingView chart. Over to the right, of course, there's a company description, which just describes what the company does. And then you have a standard TradingView chart. So if you're familiar with TradingView, you can scroll on this chart to zoom in and out. You can drag it around. You can resize everything. It does have different time frames here if you're an intraday trader, so you can do all of the same things that you could do on TradingView. It's just embedded within LazyFA. Beneath the chart are the company's basic statistics like their website, the link for their SEC filings, where they're located, and so on. And then some vital metrics like how many shares outstanding they have, their cash, their book value, free cash flow, and so on. So these are the things that a lot of people consider to be vital metrics, and they just want to look at them for a quick overview of how the company is doing financially and if there are any major red flags right off the bat. The company snapshot gives you an overview, a profile for how you could potentially trade it, a breakdown of the company's value relative to its competition, and a breakdown of its financial health. And then beneath the company snapshot, you have a fingerprint, which again gives you the market cap, their cash, their float, their debt, and shares shorted and short float. This data is somewhat hard to come by, so it's not super reliable. It's one of the things that I'm working on the site right now. So a good place to get this if you can't get it on LazyFA is to just go to FinViz. It's usually pretty up to date there, and if you can't find it there, the NASDAQ website will also list that. Below the company snapshot is a performance breakdown, which compares Amazon to its peers. And if there are similar companies which are not the same as its peers, then those similar companies will be listed here as well. And also, if it's during the day, you'll see that today's largest trade box filled out with that day's largest trades. And then at the bottom here, there's a relative performance table, which compares some things like market cap, price to earnings, EPS, their cash flow, margins, return on assets, and so on. So all of their peers and their similar companies will be listed here in the relative performance table, so you can get a quick understanding of how they compare to their competition. So that's the entire overview portion of the dashboard, and I won't go through every individual tab here, but they're all laid out pretty much the same. I'm going to make another video that goes into these tabs and these charts and the functionality here, but I'll give you a quick overview of it. The overview tab gives you obviously an overview of the company, and then the income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow statement and metrics tabs. These are the information that's pulled off of the financial statements, and they're all charted out on these charts. So this is one of my favorite features of LazyFA, just because it makes things so much easier than looking back at 15 or 20 years of SEC filings and financial statements and trying to envision what these trends look like, or extracting them all and putting them into an Excel spreadsheet and making your own charts and so on. It's just a lot more work. LazyFA makes it super easy for you to visualize what the trends are like in the financial statements. Each one of these charts has the ability to show any individual item off of any of the financial statements, and they all have annual, quarterly, trailing 12 months, and they can be bar or line charts. So explore this, click around. There's also a table overview if you prefer to look at the table layout of financial statements, or if you want to export them to a CSV file, you can do that as well if you have a pro account. So these buttons across the top here are just to help you quickly change all of the charts at once and to give you different layouts. Now, one other thing that I want to point out, which a lot of people do not know about LazyFA, is that if you click on any one of these bars, it will open up the SEC filing that it came from. So if you click, it'll open up the SEC filing. If you control click, it will open up the XBRL version if it's available. So this gives you a quicker and a little bit easier way to visualize these things. But if you want the raw filing, you can regular click without holding the control key. All right, so that covers the dashboard, the home page, and the menu, and I hope this is helpful. Click around, explore this, let me know if you have questions in the comments, and I will see you next time.